All right, let's get to the start of the show. Howard Cross, Notre Dame. I mean, it is so much fun watching this guy play, even though if athletically he doesn't look like a lot of the other guys on this list. But Mike, you're the Notre Dame alum. I'll come to you first. I didn't have him. I had him at 6. I went back and checked just where I had him graded out, just because of the size. But he's actually bigger than I thought, so I got some numbers that aren't quite right. But Mike, tell me about Howard Cross the third.
Yeah, I mean, he's a pure one gap, 3 technique type of guy at the next level. Even though they played him a good amount at nose, he gets helped out by the Notre Dame scheme because he's really moving laterally a lot at the snap, and that's where he wins. He is lightning quick off the snap. He has great feet, the ability to shake offensive linemen in a phone booth that you pretty much have to have if you're going to be sub 290 trying to play in the NFL, right? Or even sub 300. You better be darn quick, and he is. So I think he can survive, but it's not going to be every scheme is going to want a guy like that because not long, not particularly strong, but he knows how to defeat blocks and he knows how to get into the backfield. And so he made a ton of plays against, so when he faced some of the less athletic offensive lines on his schedule, but even some of the better offensive lines, like I thought against Ohio State, he was a massive impact player in that game. And he almost never came off the field too. So a guy that continued his motor from first snap to the last throughout this season.
Rick, that's what stuck out for me. The motor and the surprising quickness. Like, he's not Braden Fisk, but when you watch Braden Fisk for the first time, like, oh my God, this kid is moving. And I got that sort of feeling. And it was fun watching Howard Cross play. Again, not the same player, but just the initial impression of how good he is. And, basing it on his body type, it turns out that's not a good thing to do.
No, every game I watched, Ohio State, Duke, even in the USC game, he was the guy that jumped off the tape to me. And I know they got the corner that we'll talk about, who I think's excellent. They got some good players on defense, but this kid, out of all the guys we talked about, besides maybe Graham, I understand if he was 6'5" and 320 and did what he does at his size, you're talking about him as a top 10 pick because there's no one that plays with a bigger heart or more passion than this kid does.
All right, knowing that he's limited physically, what's your comp and how high can he go?
I had him 3rd round right now because I just don't know his size.
Yeah.
But if he's bigger, he could be a riser like Fisk was a riser, I think, last year, especially if he goes down to the Senior Bowl and dominates. I think he's going to be one of those guys. If he doesn't come in at 275 or 280, I just didn't know where his height was and his weight. I can't remember. Did I go with Kalijah Cansey?
You did.
That's who he kind of reminded me of.
Okay. I get it. All right. Before I do the comp, Mike, what round do you think, like, what range are we talking about for Howard?
Yeah, middle to late, day 2. But if you really, so Cansey was probably considered that for us last year, but then just every single game was unblockable. So if he really turns into that this year, which is going to be the 6th year, we could push the stock higher, but it's just going to be tough when you're at that size always.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement. Day 2 sounds about right. All right, Rick, here we go. Last time, what are you, 1 and 2? Oh, you're 2 and 3 right now. You got to get to 500. This is the last comp. You ready?
Yep.
Eddie Goldman, Geno Atkins.
I'm going to go with Mike said Geno Atkins.
You are now 2 and 4.
Atkins is
that was Eddie Goldman was for Kenneth Grant.
Oh, I was like, Eddie Goldman weighed like 340. I was like, all right, I won't put that one on producer Harry. Who was your? Oh, okay. So you don't lose that one, Rick. You're still at 2 and 3 with an asterisk. Who was your comp for Howard Cross?
It was Tershawn Wharton.
Okay, Tershawn Wharton. All right, there you go. Rick, I'll give you the W on that one. You're 3 and 3. I'm feeling in a given mood. You admitted to the brain fart about Michael Williams. All the votes weren't counted, so we recounted the votes for you. You get the win there.